Hello and welcome to Ask the Mayor, a quarterly program dedicated to town government. I'm John Sullivan, your host, and joining me today is Mayor Vincent Cervoni. Mayor, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us. Let's go back for a moment, Mayor. Let's go back to January 8th. You transitioned on January 8th from basically a 14-year council member to the chief administrator of the town of Wallingford. How difficult was that transition?
I wouldn't suggest it was difficult. I think that it was just a big change. You know, I went from a legislative budgeting kind of more reactionary role to government to actually being inside government daily and running the operations, implementing a lot of the work that the council had done in terms of approving the budget, dealing daily with personnel issues, and department heads coming to me for perspectives and decisions, virtually from day one. So that's a different role in government. It's much more immersed by comparison to being on the council.
We're going to talk today about several items that were your platform during the 2023 municipal election. And that includes the first one, IT or technology. You know, on January 23rd, the town council approved a bid waiver, which resulted in the CLA Corporation becoming Wallingford's IT consultant. What update can you provide us right now on what CLA has brought to the table?
So CLA has gone through all of the town departments, met with department heads, conducted interviews and surveys, is attempting to gather an inventory of what we have for IT equipment. I did meet with them 2 days ago. They provided me an update of where they are. They're done with their investigative work. They presented me a high-level plan for what was ahead. And the next steps that I'm anticipating is that we will receive their full plan for implementation of information technology in town government.
Well, it's a little early because the results haven't come back. What do you anticipate as far as upgrades to IT in town government?
We are going to do things as broad as data storage and safety solutions. We are going to make sure that we are safe from cyber attacks, and we are going to implement at employee desktops many digital solutions. It is my hope that some of the first things we can attack are forward-facing uses of technology, uses that make life easier for the town residents to do business in town hall and town businesses also.
Now down the road, we'll have probably a better idea how soon we can put some of these pieces into place, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The budget around IT, you've just handed in your proposed budget earlier this week.
Yes.
How big is the budget for IT?
So the department we've created, the budget is approximately $364,000. That includes the IT director's salary and about another $250,000 for equipment and services going forward. The IT director is going to have the opportunity to better develop the budget over the coming year while it's being implemented.
What changes do you think residents will see immediately once we start engaging the IT director? Will they be able to pay more bills online? Will there be just more online services? For employees in town government, will there be direct deposit, electronic timekeeping versus manual time cards?
Yes. All of that. So we do have an online bill pay system currently that we use a third-party vendor for. I don't like it at all.
Yep.
It's expensive. There's a flat fee for paying a bill online, and I think if there's going to be a user fee for paying a bill online, it should be a percentage of the bill that's paid, a nominal, appropriate percentage. When it comes to businesses doing business in town, I'd like to see, as soon as possible, our personal property tax declarations be an online fillable and fileable document.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be looking to have land use applications be electronically populated and then electronically filed. So those are some of the forward-facing initiatives. As for employees, yes, we're going to look for some type of electronic solution for monitoring employee time, appropriately, and that will translate into a much more efficient payroll system and translate into the ability for employees to get direct deposit.
So we've set aside money in the 24-25 budget for IT. But IT is not a one and done, obviously. It's a journey. And every budget going forward is going to see a line item for IT. Do you see that increasing over time, over the next several years as we continue to grow IT in Wallingford?
I'm going to say that I see it changing. I think you're going to experience a hump in the initial process. But one of the things that is going to change throughout the whole budget is that most of the departments have their own IT budgets, and we're going to move that budgeted money from individual departments into the IT department budget, so that there is a town government-wide management of that technology.
So basically, we've created a whole new department within town government that will see one source of funding on the budget line.
That's right.
Okay. Part of the IT plan, and this is a big part of the IT plan, is the IT director. This has to be an incredible task for anyone walking in to a municipality where technology almost doesn't exist. Where are we in hiring an IT director at this point?
So we conducted a final round of interviews at the beginning of this week. We were assisted by Jeff Ziplo from CLA, our technology consultant, and also Counselor Chris Regan, who is the technology liaison from the town council. And at the end of those interviews, we decided on a candidate to make an offer. That offer is outstanding, and I am optimistic that in the coming weeks we'll be announcing the employment of the new IT director.
Perfect. Let's move on from IT to building maintenance, which was another part of your platform when you ran for mayor back in 2023. You're seeking to have evaluations done on 7 buildings. Those 7 buildings include the railroad station, town hall, the current police station, which is the former armory, the senior center, animal control, and the park and recreation building. Where are we currently in that process?
That RFP is on the town's purchasing portal, and I happened to take a look at what's coming in yesterday, and I believe there are close to 20 proposals that have been submitted, and the window of submission is going to close near the end of this month, and then we'll review the proposals and we'll assign the work.
Now, were the proposals put out for each individual building? Are there 7 proposals or one big umbrella proposal?
There's one big umbrella proposal that has the successful applicant looking at those 7 buildings together.
Okay. Once we get it, and I'm gonna look out a little bit because I think this is going to take some time to get the evaluations done and so forth and the results. But once we get the results of what these 7 buildings need to bring them up to date and make them safe, how are we going to fund that?
We're going to have a 5-year plan for some projects and a 10-year plan for other projects. And because these are capital improvements, we're probably going to be looked to bonding to get this work done.
Okay, great. I know that was a hot topic during the election, and building maintenance is something that it seems that there's been a Band-Aid approach rather than taking care of it. I'm glad to see that you are serious about taking care of it, getting buildings back where they need to be, so the public works can maintain them or more easily than they are now. All right, very good there. Let's move on now to infrastructure, another element of your 2023 campaign. You know, we've got about 47 miles of roadway in Wallingford, and we've had a lot of rain. We've got a lot of potholes. Roads have taken a beating in town. What's your plan on road paving for 24-25?
So I know Public Works is addressing the current conditions of the roads aggressively, and we are going to look for opportunities to be more aggressive about attacking road projects going forward.
Have we increased the budget for road projects?
We haven't as of yet. My observation as a counselor has been that there are many years that we don't go through the entire budgeted amount for road improvements. Mm-hmm. I'm just hoping that, through a variety of circumstances, that we can get more aggressive and get more caught up on the roads that we need to improve.
Another part of our infrastructure is our sidewalks. And Mayor Dickinson, your predecessor, divided the town up in districts, and he would be rotating through districts to get sidewalks done. Is your plan the same, or are you going to be a little more aggressive in caring for the town sidewalks?
It's different. The plan that that I've spoken with engineering about is to change the way we do things. The district-wide, the multi-district program, was somewhat sequential, and I think after 3 decades, we're finally getting through the last district. Mm-hmm. And I think that just takes too long, and I think that we need to look at higher traffic areas in town to be more aggressive about addressing the sidewalks on a much more regular basis. So the high traffic downtown areas are going to get their own treatment concurrently with the outlying districts, as opposed to making it wait in line.
Okay, good news. While we have some time, I wanted to briefly discuss your proposed budget again that was released on, I believe, Tuesday. Councilors got their first copy. Walk me through the process of what happens now that the councilors have their copies and are probably looking it over. Walk me through the process, which will take us right up to the public hearing.
Yeah, so the councilors should have gotten their copies on Monday.
Monday, okay.
Yeah. And I'm sure they're looking closely at the budgets. I've had conversations about it with Chairman Marone from the town council, and my understanding is that he is gathering questions from the councilors to deliver to department heads so that they can have meetings, workshop meetings, to discuss with department heads their individual budgets in a what is hopefully a more efficient use of the council and government's time in terms of reviewing the budgets together. So they'll be doing that in the coming months. The public hearing hasn't yet been scheduled. Mm-hmm. At various times over the past decade, the typical practice is to have a public hearing at the beginning of the budget process, early in April. And that's being re-examined. We did try having the public hearing at the end of the budget process, and it didn't necessarily result in a more favorable response from the public. There was no real benefit to having the public hearing at the end. So that's going to be determined and publicized, and by the charter, the first council meeting in May, the second Tuesday in May, is when the council has to adopt a budget.
Okay. And we will be posting all of that on our Wallingford Municipal Government Facebook page. So anybody who wants to attend those meetings can attend those meetings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They are public meetings.
Okay,
But my understanding is that the workshops won't necessarily include public participation.
correct, yeah. So let's talk about your budget for a moment. Nobody wants a tax increase. What challenges did you find in putting together this year's budget? 24-25 budget, excuse me.
Yeah, so we had a bunch of expenses that we really have to cover that just reflect the increased cost of doing business these days. Our town employee health insurance program went up 14%.
Right.
That's a significant driver. It's over $27 million
Wow.
Out of the town's budget. Because we are moving along with the new police station on Barnes Road, anticipated move-in date late October, early November. But anyway, we're incurring that debt, so debt service went up by $1.36 million because we're repaying more bonds.
Right.
Between, I think, elements of the building at 100 Barnes Road go live in July, and so there will be utility costs, maintenance costs transitioned to the police department budget starting that early. So for the first 6 months of the fiscal year, the police department will be paying to maintain 2 buildings. I think that's about a $200,000 factor in the budget. As is common, we had an increase in the actuarial recommendation to fund our pension program. And with almost every budget over the past 2 decades, we've had contractual wage increases to fund in the budget. So those are cost drivers that we just have to absorb.
So to put it simply, whenever you enter a budget year, right off the bat, you will most likely have wage increases, you will have health benefit increases. The actuary said we need more money in the pension plan. So you're already operating with a tax increase from the get-go. It's about, how do I inject money into this budget to offset the tax increase? How much of the rainy day fund have you applied to the 24-25 budget?
You mean the unallocated reserve?
Which many call the rainy day fund, but go ahead.
Yeah,
You're correct.
Yes. So we've really reached into the unallocated reserve. There's $7.9 million allocated to offset the tax increase, which is essentially money that we have coming back into the budget, from the taxpayer. Additionally, we do have some new income. There's a telecommunications tax that the state collects and then pays back to us. We're budgeting $2 million for that. So that's a big help.
That's found money.
It is, and I'm not sure how long we're going to keep getting it,
Right.
but it certainly helps. And we're grateful that we have our pilot payment from our electric division, which at this point remains static. But maybe time for a review in the near future. So we are looking for ways to mitigate against the tax increase. Unfortunately, we did not have significant grand list growth this year. So without grand list growth, you're forced to raise the mill rate to adjust the budget.
Mayor, how important is the Moodys rating, the AA1 rating for Wallingford?
Well, it's critical now because we are going out to bond for the police station improvements, and we do when we need to. We go out to bond for capital improvements. Our Moodys rating, we recently went through the Moodys bond interview and rating process, and we maintained our AA1 bond rating. It's the second highest you can have, and when you consider the variety of experience living in this town, it's a solid rating. it reflects a history of strong fiscal management. And we were able to maintain that. And so when we did go out to sell bonds, we got bids from 12 bidders, which is apparently unheard of. And we were able to maintain an interest rate of 3.34% on repayment of the bonds, which is, in today's market, it's pretty exceptional.
It's the low end. Yeah, very good.
Yes.
Very good. We talked, you talked moments ago about the police station. I want to ask you about what happens, or what are your thoughts on what to do with the current police station, which is the former armory? Can it be repurposed for a town function? Can it be sold to add to the grand list? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that it's complicated.
Of course.
What complicates that is that we have a radio tower at that building.
Right.
And it's critical to maintaining communication for emergency services throughout town.
Right.
We need to have a radio tower in this location. So any use going forward really has to contemplate the ability to maintain that radio tower at the site.
Right.
So whether it is repurposing it for government or some hybrid public-private use, that the town's ability to maintain the radio tower at that site is critical. We did have the Board of Ed look at the building for relocating, possibly administrative services and adult education there, and the cost seemed to be prohibitive to them. So there might be some interest from other departments for its use, but that remains to be seen. And we might be in a similar situation to where we are now with the historic train station. Yeah. Looking for input from various sources as to what the next best use is for that building.
Is it a safe bet we're going to act on that quickly once the police move out so it doesn't fall into disrepair? There's been a checkered history of municipal buildings or municipally owned buildings falling into disrepair to the point where we almost have to take the wrecking ball to them.
Yeah, so this was the state armory. It might be on the historic register. I think it was a 1920 era building. And it is part of our building survey that the RFP is going to produce. So we are going to look at it. We're going to look at what it costs to maintain it for our use, and it's going to be evaluated.
Great. I think we're going to wrap it up, but before I do, is there any message you want to get out to the people of Wallingford? I know it's only been about 3 months since you took office. You seem to be fast-tracking several of the items that you ran on. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to tell the people of Wallingford?
No, while I think you've been pretty thorough, I have been in touch with members of the community, with their own varying interests and ideas for what we have going forward. This is a big community, and I'm interested to know what people think, what people have for ideas for the challenges that we face. It's a challenging time in the world economy.
Right.
And I think I'm blessed with a variety of input from people who have varied professional backgrounds who are willing to volunteer information for us to try and get the best results for the town going forward.
Great. Mayor, I want to thank you for spending some time with us today on our very first Ask the Mayor program. We're going to come back on a quarterly basis and follow up on these items with Mayor Cervoni. And I want to thank everyone here at Wallingford Government TV for their professionalism and expertise in producing this program. My name is John Sullivan, and I'll see you in July for another edition of Ask the Mayor.